Hello and welcome to the 5th episode of the SAFR Podcast. My name is Hallie and I'm your host. Today I'm joined by Hallie.
Hello everyone, my name is Hallie and I am a photographer, filmmaker, community leader and overall human. And yeah, thank you for having me today.
Yeah, nice. Thank you for being here. Interesting story on how me and Hallie met. I was actually doing street photography and I came across Hallie. It was near Southbank, right?
Yeah, literally we were sat there just peacefully. I was with a few mates. I was with Maya and Amir, and we just had a Southbank meeting.
Yeah.
And you came up to us with a camera. It was like a Polaroid kind of camera. It was cool. I've never seen it before.
Yeah.
And you were like, "We'll take some photos," and you took these really lovely photos that I took. I took home. Well, Maya gave me one.
Yeah.
And you sold it for £2. So it was a good little way to get to know someone and make a little bit of buck as well.
But it's interesting, these sort of interactions. Like you don't know who you're gonna meet when you're having these sort of things, especially London, super diverse.
No, you never know who you're gonna meet. And I think it was beautiful the way that you approached me, because now I'm here, which is really interesting, and I'm sure that there will be like more amazing times to come as well for us to get to know each other. And yeah, you never know where the relations might go. So,
of course, yeah. But so we've got a lot to cover today. Hallie, you do a lot of things. I see on Instagram you're always active at events across London, doing bits and bobs. So tell us about that. How did you sort of get into the industry?
Events.
Yeah.
I kind of fell into events almost by accident.
Okay.
So obviously I'm a part of a collective called the Collective Members Only, otherwise known as TCMO. And effectively, it's just me and my mates just coming together saying, like, you know what, we're fed up of all of these different, little programs that we did together. It would be after like those, incentives that they would have for under 25s. We're tired of doing a bunch of those. We've seen each other again and again repetitively. Why don't we just come together and continue? And then we thought, why don't we just, the first thing that we do as a massive project together is just make an event. And we did a launch event, which was like the birth of our collective, the birth of us saying, let's screw it. Let's just come together and just create and see what happens. And we did this event. We had a space where I used to work. I used to work at a video production company. And they said, we want to partner with you to, do your event. And we had this really cool warehouse just decked out for us. And, we set up with, filmmakers sharing their films, exhibitions. We set up with, there was some people doing some tattoo art, and some people were getting their first ever tattoo at the event. There was musicians there. It was beautiful. DJ sets. It was amazing, and it was packed out. And we were like, do you know what? This feeling after this feeling, we want to replicate that. We want to keep doing more of that. So since then, we've just been doing a few, little versions of that. And then, we've kind of now start doing some work with Southbank, which is cool. We're very new, but, we're just, figuring it out and seeing what we like, see what we don't. But events it's amazing, but definitely tiring for sure.
Of course, yeah. I think that's something we've also discussed about how, especially as young people, we don't have things figured out. We're still very much kind of trialing new things and failing, but not necessarily failing in a bad way, but how we can learn from it. And I think that's a really powerful thing, that even for yourself, when we spoke downstairs, how that sort of mindset is to try, keep trying until we eventually get somewhere.
Yeah. You kind of have to have that, like, let's just do as much as we can, in a set period of time, I feel like we have like these different parameters that are set up, we're 20 something, probably juggling university or like juggling, part-time work, trying to pay the bills. But when we come together, we're like, you know what, like this is good, not only good for the heart, good for us, but good for the community. And also, I don't know, it feels like we're inspiring people to just, create without any kind of, pressures. And to be with one another, to let us each know that, like, of course it's possible, like, I think being around people that are, on the same wavelength as you is a beautiful thing. And I think I found that in the collective. And just being in that process of like, right, we've tried this, it doesn't work. We've tried this, it doesn't work. And keep iterating. Like we're working on merch right now, and we've gone through so many iterations, and we're like, this is an interesting project, we wouldn't otherwise have done like on our own, but like, it's cool to learn and fail, and I'm sure we'll get there.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Awesome. But in terms of like, let's sort of go backtracking to what kind of got you into the creative space as a whole? Was it some sort of like, did you meet someone or did you have an experience or how did it work?
The creative space as a whole. That's so interesting. I feel like my entire life, I've definitely like seen myself or have been, before we've coined like, oh, you're a creative and I feel like we all have that innate feeling of just wanting to make something. And when I was younger, I used to play djembe, I used to play drums. And I used to do lots of music. My mum always encouraged me to, you know, go to the Tate, and she'd take me to a bunch of like theatre shows, you know, exhibitions, all of that. And so that kind of, you know, built up inside of me and took that through into my studies. And then I was doing a foundation at Ravensbourne, and I got really into like video and filming and stuff. And I was like, oh, I think I want to do this. I think I want to like work for like a video production company and do it officially, maybe as an editor, and maybe work my way up into like, you know, directing and stuff. And then I was like, oh, that'd be cool. And then I threw together like a show reel. Like during my lecture, I was like, oh, this is a bit boring. During my lecture, I just threw together a little show reel. And then just as I was on Snapchat at the time. I don't have Snapchat anymore, but I was on Snapchat and I found the Sun article, and it was like, the headline was like, young creative company, young video production company turns over 1 million in their first year of their first year of in business. And I was like, wow, who is that? I click on it. It's this company called, can I say the name?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, they've done a lot for me, so I will just say it's Perspective Pictures, which now today is probably one of the biggest video production social first, you know, companies now. But back then, I was just interested in this man and like, you know, the company and the people and who is behind that. I want to understand the business and what's going on behind the hood. Yeah. Just young people doing what they want. Like, they're just some boys from Hertfordshire. What are they doing in London? Like doing their thing, you know, actually churning out their ideas and turning them, you know, into tangible things. I was like, oh. And then I went into that and just, I don't know, I checked out their website and I was like, oh, they got careers. Signed up for the job. Had one interview, got the job with my little show reel that I threw together. I didn't even need a CV, my little show reel, what I had. And they were like, we want you. And so from that day, I was working at a video production company for around 3-4 years, done. And from that, I learned like all the skills from how to script videos, how to edit film, how to do sound, all of the necessary compartments that make up a film. I learned all of that from being there and watching them. Went abroad with them to multiple different places around the world and working with a bunch of different exciting clients. One of them being Red Bull. I got flown out to Serbia, which was the most random, weirdest time. But I got flown out there and it was really fun, you know, working out there. And so, yeah, I was like, I want to like take all my skills and see what I can do with that. And then I'm going into it, but like I you know, took all my skills and then made a documentary with my mate, which was just like a conversation between me and him. And we were just like, he was like, I want to celebrate Somaliland Independence Day. And I was like, interesting. Admittedly, I don't know the difference between Somaliland and Somalia. And he was like, let me educate you, put the books down. And it was just a conversation like you and me doing right now. There happened to be a camera there in the studio because I was taking photos for his Independent Day. It was meant to just be photos, but there was a camera in the studio where I used to work. And I was like, fuck it, screw it. I will just press record and then it just turned into a documentary that then became something that I was very proud of. And, you know, I screened it at the BFI, and at the time it was a very exciting thing for me. I was like, wow, like I did all of that. I filmed it, I scripted it, you know, did the color, the art direction, the set design. I filmed it and I got to share my friend's story that is otherwise marginalized and not necessarily spoken about. So it was a beautiful thing. And that was when I realized that, wow, I have a gift for storytelling and I have a gift for documentarian work and anything to do with like human spirit and community. I have a real like interest for. So that's kind of like the weird trajectory into that, into the creativity. But yeah.
This episode of the SAFR Podcast is sponsored by Coupon King. Coupon King, having recently launched, is a platform where you can easily find working discount codes for your favorite web shops. It's as simple as going onto the website, searching your favorite brand, clicking onto the icon, and copying the code. All links will be available in the description below. Would you say media is kind of like your outlet, the best way to express yourself, whether it's for your projects or for other people's projects as well?
Media, ooh, I think anything I can put my hands on.
Yeah.
Because my friends would call me like, they would be like, raw, like, I don't like saying it, but like my friends would be like, raw, like you're doing lots of different random things. Like 1 minute you're like drawing, the next you're like, you know, making clothes, the next you're doing this. And to be honest, it's just like whatever I want to do, I just try and put my mind into it and just try it and not put any like pressure on it. Like if I want to like try and learn how to, I don't know, like do this animation sequence, I'm just going to go and learn because all of the information is out there. Or if it's music, you know, it's the same application. It's just a different format. It's just the wanting to create. It can happen in different formats, and I've seen it manifest in music, you know, my film, my photography work, and now it's moving into community work, and you know, managing people. It's the same feeling of wanting to just come together and create something that is outside of myself and let it materialize. Yeah.
Wow. In terms of like actually creating content or media, as a director, as a producer yourself, what are the sort of like step-by-step processes that you have to go through before sort of undertaking a project like that?
What, for like a documentary, for example? Or...
Yeah, for example, your friend's documentary about Somaliland. Like, what was? So you spoke to him. Obviously, you understand the situation. So in your brain, were you thinking, okay, how are we gonna make this?
How do you do it?
Materialize this? Right?
Yeah, there was two ways. So the first time was conversation, and it was pure. You know that like tingly feeling you get inside. It's like I just want to like create, like I want to make something. So it was based off of intuition. And that was conversation. Oh, we're in a studio right now. Like we were supposed to just take photos and see where it comes. To backtrack from that, he was just messaging me on Instagram, and I was like, yeah, cool. Bring some like set design stuff from your house. Maybe bring, you know, like your traditional outfit. Like bring that. He was like, oh, I want to like combine that, but with like a Scandinavian like twist, because he's very like. He loved his fashion. He was like, oh, I want to. And then he was like, oh, what if I could represent the different regions of Somaliland, but through clothes and set design, and we can have like the music and some voiceover underneath. So that really, it's like I guess having a bit of parameters for yourself. Like, oh, okay, that main idea. Okay, the different regions of Somaliland. Cool, right? Let's like get the different things from our house that we think could like, you know. Help tell the story. I had a guitar, you know, Hargeisa, for example, is known for its poetry, and so he was like, okay, I want to like the poetry and the music. I'm gonna have like a guitar in the background. I'm gonna have like maybe a scripture, like a old scroll to kind of show like the poetry, and it was a really beautiful kind of back and forth of us kind of taking our stuff, bringing it into the space, building something, and then from there it was just like. We just filmed him talking to the camera. He talked about like, you know, the people and how beautiful. There's like this beautiful kind of like brother and sistership, which only really happened after a dictatorship that kind of like devastated quite a lot of people. It was really bad. Although it's controversial, but it was very beautiful to hear it from him and hear where he's from. But, you know, kind of also share a wider story. And I just got very connected to the story. And then after that, we were like, wow, we've got a documentary. You've just spoken for like 10 minutes. This is a mini doc. Let's see where this goes, you know? And then kept building and building. And then the second time that we got approached to do this documentary, we got a bit of funding from council, basically, to like go, right, here's 12K, right? To go and, you know, like make make. Talked to different Somalilander seafarers this time that are based in Bethnal Green, because there's a lack of like it's as if like they don't exist when they've been here for years. Like they've been here for years. Building. There was like a road called Somali Street.
Oh wow.
Yeah, which is crazy. But like you don't see the history when you're walking around there. You predominantly see a different demographic there. So yeah, we just ended up like from doing that was a different process entirely. It was back and forth talking to each of the interviewees.
Yeah.
It was understanding what they're comfortable with, what they're not comfortable with. It was then translating that into like a deck where you're able to see kind of like, what colors do we want for each person and what set, you know, like really trying to craft their identity visually so that you can see it. So when they're talking, you also see it. And yeah, it was way more of an in-depth process of pre-production, even down to the scripting. And even after that, in the edit process is where like the real directing comes in, because it's like, oh my God, we've got gaps in our story. Where are we going to get that? So it was us jumping in Ubers, like literally Reggie Yates style, kind of going and like running for getting the missing answers and trying to find it, running around London and filming. And it was a beautiful amalgamation of all the things that we learned from the first documentary, but with the pressures and constraints of a budget. And being forced to work with like constraints. It delivers really beautiful results, and that was filmed again in a cinema, and I felt like having my work being seen on a big screen, I was like, wow, like I think this is good. This feels good. Like I feel like if I'm done tomorrow, I'm done tomorrow. Like this happened randomly and here I am. So I love that. I love it. Yeah.
It's like you seeing your baby, you know, like in the cinema. That's amazing.
Yeah.
You know what, we'll talk about this maybe after the podcast, but we should do something for like Punjabi heritage. Sikhs, we've been here for a very long time in the UK.
Wow,
I feel like with your creative flair and flow, I think it's going to be a really good documentary. So we can talk about that after the podcast.
Let's chat.
Amazing. So in terms of what you're doing now, because you mentioned you're working, but I believe you're no longer working, is that correct? You're
no longer working in the video production company. Now I'm freelance, you know, making videos. So with that doc, that allowed me to like kind of, I don't know, I guess like go into it and see a bit more of a life of like, oh, this is what it's like to do documentary work freelance. But other than that, I'm just doing like these siloed projects at the moment, outside of a workspace. But I'm now in the space of like, what is my desired reality? What is it that I've got so much like multidisciplinary energy, and what is it that I want to create? What purpose do I want that to kind of be? And I feel like I'm in that space as a lot of like 25-year-old people are right now, and it's okay, how do I? It's just like, trying to see the connection between each of my skills. Okay, story, community, where is it leading? And right now my energy is split across like, you know, money that pays the bills, you know, doing those silo projects that pay the bills. But I think it was also channeling into the collective and seeing how that can form, and if we can sort of like build this social enterprise, and build it, and, you know, see how many lives we can actually touch, how many organizations, we're working with organizations to see how they can make their, you know, how they can integrate with the youth way better and actually produce things that are needed, and to see if we can like make a dent in the issue of social mobility right now. So it's a lot of questions, we're putting out there, but I think it's good to be in a state of what are the questions I need to ask, and then it's like following through on what that task is at hand that will then get you to, you know, your desired reality of what that might be. So that's where I'm at right now. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
What would you say from your experience so far, because I know you're relatively new into it, you know, what have been like most the sort of biggest challenges that you faced, like the biggest hurdle that you've experienced so far that's kind of made you think that maybe this is not so going so well as I thought?
In life, or just like across the creative stuff?
Both.
Ooh, this is not going so well.
We can narrow it down just to the creative. If that'd be better.
Creative stuff.
Yeah.
I feel like the creative stuff, it mirrors your internal, like whatever is going on internally is effectively what you are outputting.
Sure.
So I think for a period of time I felt pressures, like, especially, I don't know, I'm multidisciplinary, so I've got lots of different like passions and things I pick up just from curiosity. I sometimes find that like it might be an issue of like sometimes focus and going, right, I need to focus on this for a season of time, to get to a certain point. Like, for example, with TCMO, it's like the collective members only. It's like, okay, cool, like we've worked so hard to get to the point where we're working with Southbank. We're in the building, like us youths, we're in the building. And we're making change. We're seeing it through our events that, you know, people are actually being affected, and this could actually, you know, make some change, which is beautiful. So I feel like that is in its season, and I don't have to stress too much about the other stuff, which is like us meeting every week and, you know, preparing preparing kind of like sessions, like Skillshare sessions, and and just, I don't need to over deep the economics of that now, because there's a project that everyone is doing and working on. So I'm like, all right, that's cool. That's cool. So now it's like me, okay. And then there's another pocket that is like music, and that's a whole other world, right? It's a whole other world. But now it's just like me, like what before you sorting out the world, you need to sort yourself out. And it's like, again, it's like the questions of like, okay, what is it that I want to do? What actions do I need to prioritize? If it is, you know, becoming like, you know, making my own video production company, if that's what I want, then it's like, okay, cool. What are the steps to do that? It's not that. It's definitely not that. But it's about navigating that. And then also now we're in a world where it's like AI is so readily available, and it's like, okay, what skills do I need to learn and upvamp myself to sort of stay, you know, not relevant, but like, what is the word? Kind of savvy, to stay savvy, and to stay ahead of the curve. So it's a lot, like it's an amalgamation of things, but it's about, I think it's about focus. Sure. And I think it's about seasons for different things. I think.
And you think obviously every project will have a different sort of theme and a different direction. So it's never sort of consistent, as we mentioned, like even with just life in general, like things are always changing and things are evolving. Is that sort of similar when it comes to sort of creative flow? And
sorry, did you say? Can you explain that again? Sorry, my brain's like, what do you mean?
No, it's okay. The coffee's not strong enough. So in regards to the actual, when it comes to actually creating a project, so you mentioned your friend with the Somaliland project. The other project could be something less to do with culture or festivity. So when it comes to like, when you put your sort of ideas on the table, your approach would be different depending on the different projects, or do you sort of like have a consistent template for each project that you work on?
Each project needs its own, I think there's like a template that you could have for your project. So, okay, for example, to make this like super like clear and easy, if you've got like a video and you've got a video from a client, they'll go in and they either know what they want or they don't know what they want.
Sure.
So say, for example, client is like, oh, like I want to like raise some money, you know, for this community to, you know, do this and that. They might not know what they want, and it's kind of your job to come in and kind of like go through them and sort of strategize, I reckon, and kind of coming to like a nice conclusion of like, okay, you might want to come from this angle, you might want to come from that angle, and then it's like building a deck. That's where I would then build a deck, which is like a nice, beautiful, like visual kind of walkthrough your ideas, your strategy, you know, where you want to take it. Or it's a thing where it's like they know exactly what they want, and it's like bam, bam, bam. So then you just go in. So I think it depends on the different ways you want to approach it. Yeah. But if it's as like, I don't know, kind of a bit different, where it's like you're managing a community and you're kind of, you know, the frameworks are very loose, and it's based upon like, you know, what people might need. It's like, okay, cool, I might need to go in and kind of like steer or engineer this towards, you know, seeing if we can make, you know, I'm having a bit of a brain fog. Yeah, steering it and seeing if we can kind of take it more in the direction of like, this is where a cut would probably happen.
Most of the specifics
I'm losing my train
of the project.
Yeah.
I'll take it.
Yeah.
Nice. Awesome. Cool. Well, I might need some coffee as well. In terms of someone that's sort of aspiring to get into the industry, someone that's like watching this right now, they probably just finished like college or sixth form, and they want to get involved. What would be some sort of advice or words of advice that you'd give to them, and how they can help out and just
help out, like in terms of word of advice, or in terms of like getting into the creative industry as a whole, getting your foot through the door.
Sure.
Do you know what it is? It's creating anything. Like, you might not know what you want to create, and it's okay. The whole act of creating is play, and the whole act of playing is just not, you know, having any expectations. Just do what you want, do what you feel. And I feel like after doing that, then you can you end up just attracting the people that actually kind of want, you know, to sort of have what you're doing, you know, like you might have a client that might want that, you know. So, you know, I've had a lot of friends that are just starting off with videographers, and they're filming everything, and they're just everywhere in the space, and then people are like, oh, he's cool, she's cool, I want to chat to them. And then you can build up that way just by being sort of everywhere, and just like how you had your camera, right?
Yeah.
I'm thinking I should have asked you maybe to come to one of our events and like take some photos and like get you in the space and stuff. So people are always thinking about how they could potentially.
Welcome back to episode 5.5. We had the light blow out, so we're retaking this. The light might be a bit different, but we should be all good.
That was crazy.
Yeah.
Like, that's happened to me on set before.
Oh, really?
Yeah, literally.
Okay.
Like,
That's good to hear.
I was like, I turned on the light, it just blew off. Like, and everyone was looking at me. I'm like, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I was just new in the space, but yeah, no, wow.
But yeah, we're trying to keep authentic, so we're going to keep rolling regardless of the lighting. So
Yeah.
the question we were talking about was young people entering the industry.
Right. Okay. So for anyone sort of entering the industry, I know right now it's changed a lot. And I think it can be very daunting kind of trying to enter, thinking, where do I enter? And now there's this whole world of online social media, like that's a new variable. Like where do I craft myself? Where do I put myself? There's so much for comparison. And going in, you know, into creativity is not the same as it was when I was entering, or the people before me were entering, right? It's not necessarily meaning you find a company and you stay there for 10 years, 20 years. Yeah. It's different now. You're in a space where you have the power to essentially make anything you want, right? You can make anything you want, and you have the means to create your own community off of that. And if the demand is high enough, you can probably pay your bills. You can pay your bills. So there's so many beautiful avenues that exist. And I think it's like me right now, exploring the different avenues that exist. I think it's well within your rights to explore that. And I think also like what you're doing right now, like this is a side project, but like this natural passion for just wanting to talk to people and share it online, I think it is a beautiful thing. Like that's how you enter, like by doing this, you know? Of course. Yeah. And, you know, it doesn't have to be perfect. Things don't have to go well all the time, but it is about trying and, you know, implementing something. As long as you try something and, you know, stick with it for a little bit of time, then you will see the improvements of next time. So I feel like everyone entering the creative industry, it just doesn't really exist. Like you are the creative, like you create, you know, you make. I feel like I've overused the word create, and I think everyone keeps saying it, but like just make that. That is your prerogative. That is your nature. You know? Yeah. So
you are the light. Like this one's not working, but we are all the light. We're gonna keep linking it back to this thing.
That was a good one. That was a good one.
But yeah, I think that's quite nice to think about. Like even our interaction when we were met through the photography plus the conversation bit, it was just purely out of just interest.
Yeah.
You guys were, I remember you guys having a picnic or some sort, and I was just curious what was going on.
Yeah.
Had that conversation, got your photos done.
Yeah.
And then now, like a month later, we're here having this conversation. So.
What you did was genius, and I think that is another thing that you can do. if you want to, I think you shouldn't necessarily see it as I want to enter the creative industry, but I think it is taking the thing that you like to do and put yourself in front of people that like to do the same thing as you, or just meeting as many people as possible with that thing. Like, for example, my camera, that's taken me like all over. Like, it's taken me to places that I wouldn't necessarily think I'd be. Like, I've done documentaries from my friend, or I found myself around the world, or I found myself following, like, for example, I was following some property people as well, like doing some documentaries for them. I was trying to learn, like trying to understand the property world a bit more. But I was like, let me just like follow them, like, you know, on a full on journey from like, you know, maybe like no houses to then trying to set up a few like Airbnbs. You probably know what I'm talking about.
The refurbishment process.
Yeah. And I learned the entire process and edited that all by myself. That was a lot.
Yeah.
But you can basically use your camera not necessarily to make money, but you can use it to upskill and learn, and that contributes to yourself because you're learning, you know. And I think that will sort of bring you closer to what you want to do. You just have to, use it as a vehicle, you know.
Just get started, really.
Yeah, get
Take
started.
action.
Do anything. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And then in terms of sort of future plans, I know we spoke about earlier about how things are never sort of, there's no like a set objective that is in place at the moment. We're kind of tampering with different areas and seeing how it kind of goes.
Yeah, no. I think there's like a general feeling. There was this guy that I was listening to. His name is Heinz. He's like also a podcaster. And he spoke about how, like, you know, like even now, he's just in the act of creating, and he's not necessarily like, you know, set on like where it is. Not necessarily where it is he is wanting to go, but like what it is he wants to be. It doesn't necessarily exist like that. You're kind of like putting yourself in the position of trialing until you figure that out, if that makes sense. It's in the process of doing, not thinking about doing it. Do you know what I mean? Because you could think, I want to be a lawyer, and then you get to being a lawyer and you're like, I don't want to do that no more. It's in the process of that you learn whether you want that or not for yourself. Yeah. I think having the core skills, not only do I, you know, do film and, you know, all of that, but I've, you know, delved into different, you know, marketing. I've done like various marketing like courses with like some good established like, you know, media. Like I've done some DNA, did some work with D&AD. I don't know if you know that. It's like a advertising, like they help young people. I do recommend this, you know, like it helps you understand about marketing, how to pitch to people, how to share your ideas. There's readily available courses that you can do to try and figure out, and you can use all of these different skills, right, and then stack them up, and then that you can use that in wherever you want to go, if that makes sense. So if you don't know what you want to do, I think the best thing to do is just like focus on what is, you know, video marketing, right, storytelling, right, creation. That is what is like needed. AI, like all of those skills are kind of needed, and as long as you've got those things will start materializing naturally because of your, you know, your interests. And that is where I'm at right now, which is like, okay, I know where all my interests are, but where do I want to go? And it's like, it's an internal and it's an intimate questions that I'm asking myself, but as long as you're asking the right questions, you'll go somewhere. So I think I trust that. It's an inner like compass. In
terms of a dream project that you might have that you would love to do, maybe 5 years, 10 years down the road, is there anything that kind of comes to mind?
A dream project, wow. I have so many dream projects.
We will do top 3 then.
Top 3. Dream project of mine would be, so like there's a tattoo artist. So like I think part of like what I love about talking to people is like getting to know their heritage and understand them, and like what ticks, you know, what part of them, you know, that they carry in their everyday lives. I think I'm missing a bit of that because, you know, I grew up with just my mum and my Caribbean side, and I'd love to learn more about my, you know, Nigerian side. And it doesn't necessarily mean go and find my dad and all of that, but it might just mean like just tapping into that side of me that I don't know, but it still exists inside. I think there's this tattoo artist who did my tattoo, and he focuses on like Nigerian kind of like Nigerian patterns, and he's been somehow like liberating like quite a lot of, you know, displaced Africans that basically don't know much about where they're from or want to connect back to that. I want to document him and understand his process. I think I use my camera to understand people, because I love the act of learning, and I love the act of like picking people's brains, like what you're doing now. Like, I love it. So I'd love to document him and go like around the world and see that, like, you know, he's 1 minute he's in Nigeria, the next he's in Belgium, the next he's in London. He's just traveling, and I want to hear the stories behind that. I think that's like one thing that would be very, very cool as like a side project. But on the other side of that, the upflip, the collective, like, I think I want to see if that can become something that like can liberate a lot of my friends that are working jobs they hate, and for us to turn it into a business that can actually full-time like fund them, and they're doing what they love. And that is going to come from like us iterating together and coming and failing and trying and failing different things, whether it's like events, which we know we love, or if it's like, you know, merch, is that something we want to do? Is clothing line, is that something we want to do? You know, and just exploring and not being afraid. But I'm not pressed for time. I think everything has its right time, and I think naturally there are things that are helping to incentivize and fund that because of us being together. So, you know, I think it's like I'm learning to try and not compare or put any type of time limit or put any massive constraints. I know the feeling of what I want. It's human connection, and it's like creating stuff that is going to be a beacon that is just a great light for everyone to sort of like bask in, and it's good. It's not all that controversial stuff you see. It's a home space, right? I want to create that in myself, in what I do, what I put out, and I want to create. I know that's the feeling. I know the feeling. No one ever talks about the feeling. What feeling do you want? What kind of what's the inner feeling that you want? We always talk about the material, like what do you want, you know? So I think it's that, and I think it's going to come from me continuing to understand myself. And yeah, I'm excited for that, you know, next part in life.
But that's a very beautiful thing to say, actually. But yeah, thank you so much for coming on today's podcast, and thank you for bearing with us regarding the situation. But yeah, do you have any sort of social media that the folks listening could maybe follow you on? Of course. So you can find me at Hallie Aduke on Instagram, and you can follow the collective at Collective Members Only. And if you're interested in music, I've also got a music page, and it's Aduke. And Aduke is my African name, which I have like started to run off with because, you know, everything I spoke about. But yeah, that's it. Brilliant. Thank you so much for coming here. Thank you. Really appreciate it.